Hello, everybody. It is the American Doofus Show. Thank you for watching. A bunch of stuff going on. And we're going to get right to it. The noise you've been hearing in the background is from Kiev, live count from downtown and Center Square. So I've got that going in the background, and so this noise will probably be in the back, white noise-ish, unless something happens to kick off there in Kiev. Again, thank you all for watching. This is the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. Do hit the like, subscribe, and share. And I also have that tab on. Again, thank you all for watching. We're just getting started here. It's the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. So we're monitoring a lot of things. It's been a long couple of days. A lot has happened. Just today in Ukraine, the Interior Ministry put out an announcement that all males between 18 and 60 that were able-bodied were now basically part of the Ukrainian armed forces. It's odd. Supposedly there were points in the city of Kyiv where you could go and pick up a rifle and ammunition, and they wanted every citizen to be armed. I don't know if that was somebody put that up. I don't know how they got up there. Okay. So I've got a lot of things to talk about tonight, and I want to start with this right here. Again, I'm running the screens, so I'm not on the tab that has the chat in it at the moment. I will be, but I'm going to talk about some things and show some things here. So thank you all for watching. Those of you that are just joining, it's the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. It's news without the pretension, okay? It's news for retention. Give you things to think about, not tell you what to think or how to think.
As Russia's military assault of Ukraine is underway, Germany's top diplomat put it in stark terms. We woke up in a different world today. CNN's Matthew Chance is on the front lines, and I want you to watch what he and his crew came upon only 20 miles outside of Kyiv.
And we are here at the Antonov Airport, which is about 25 kilometers, 50 miles or so out of the center. These troops you can see over here. Stand up, Lewis. These troops you can see over here, they are Russian airborne forces. They have taken this airport. They've allowed us to come in and be with them as they defend the perimeter of this air base here, where helicopter-borne troops, these troops, were landed in the early hours of this morning to form an air bridge to allow for more troops to come in. You can see these are Russian forces. You can tell they're Russian. I've spoken to them already. You can tell they're Russian. They've got that orange and black band to identify them as Russian forces. I've spoken to the commander on the ground there within the past few minutes, and he said they are now in control of this airport. And within the past few seconds, just before you came to us, they were engaged in a firefight, presumably with the Ukrainian military, which says it is staging a counter-offensive to try and take back this airport. I can tell you now, I'm standing outside the perimeter of this Antonov air base, and it has not been taken back by the Ukrainian military. It is the Russian military. You can see them now moving back to a different position. It is the Ukrainian military who say they are now in control. This is about, I would say, about 20 miles from the center of the Ukrainian capital. And so it just shows us now, for the first time, just how close Russian forces have got towards the center of the Ukrainian capital. It's not just, I was speaking to officials earlier, Ukrainian officials, and they're saying that the plan isn't just to surround the Ukrainian capital. They fear now that the plan is to take the capital, to decapitate the leadership of Ukraine, and to replace that leadership with a pro-Russian government. That's what Ukrainian officials are telling us now they think is the Russian plan. I can tell you, it is a very tense situation. We're expecting to see Ukrainian military force. We didn't even know, frankly, we didn't even know that, the Russian forces were going to be here. We assumed this was the Ukrainian forces. So I went up to speak to them and say, hey, we come from Kiev, but it only emerged during the conversation that they're all Russians and there are no Ukrainian military forces in sight, although I can hear them because they've been shooting ferociously in the course of the past few minutes. And so we're sort of in the defensive position behind this wall here. We've got our car here with the crew here as well. As the Russian airborne troops defend this position that they've taken on the outskirts of Kiev.
How do the ultra wealthy really build wealth?
Okay, hold on a second here. Okay, hang with me here for just a second. Let me get rid of this advertisement because I want to show a little bit more of that CNN. Okay. Never mind. I do want to show this. We'll go to this. Hello, everybody. I'm hopping back over to chat real quick, or the page chat is on. Hi, Sissy. Hi, Pat. Olivia. Henry. Hello there. Good evening. Casey. Did I miss anybody? T-Rex. And hello to everybody out there watching. We're just getting started here. It's the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. I got a lot to show. Got a lot of things off of Twitter and a lot of frontline views. And on this channel, for those, if you happen to be new watching this, thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the share. We cover a lot of things that that don't get enough coverage on other platforms or on mainstream media, and we cover a lot of protests. And I'm going to share this.
Nick Robertson is in Moscow for us today. And Nick, where you are today, a crucial place to be. A short time ago, Russian riot police ordered anti-war protesters, who I understand did brave things, to come out there near you to disperse. Tell me what you're seeing and how much resistance is there to President Putin?
Yeah, Aaron, I'm literally going to step out of the way of the camera right now because you can see 3 people here just being arrested. There isn't so much of a central protest here. These are some ladies here that are in this central area of Moscow. While we've been here for the past 45 minutes, there's another person being dragged out of the subway here by his face, being dragged by the police, being arrested, thrust up against the vehicle, being frisked. We've seen dozens of people being arrested here over the last 45 minutes. Now, what the police have been explaining here is that there is no authorized anti-war protest allowed here. We've seen people, when they've been arrested, the police search their bags and they take out of their bags signs that say, "Stop the war." Then they're loaded into the police vans. We've seen that happen time after time after time over the last 45 minutes here. We know across the country, in dozens of cities, there have been protests similar to this. The government says they're not authorized protests. They've warned people not to attend them. They say that people can get arrested, that there will be legal repercussions. And the government even says you know, if you get a criminal record for criminal activity at one of these events, then that can affect you for the rest of your life. And I'll just spin around this way. Here's another man just being taken away and arrested here. This is happening literally by the minute, and I'm looking at another 1-2 people coming up behind Liliana, camerawoman, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But these 6 other people here, literally while we've been talking to you in the past couple of minutes, more than 10 people have been arrested. There's another man being taken away there. That's what we're witnessing here. And we'll just spin the camera around a little bit, and you can see some of the other police officers that are here. They're dotted all around here, lined along the road in this direction, the other side of the street, across the road over there. The big square close to where we are, that's been closed off to the public, and the police are getting on their megaphones every few minutes to tell people, you're not authorized to be here. Go in the metro, take the underground, take the tube, and leave the area. But every so often, people are getting arrested. We know so far today, at least about an hour ago, more than 160 people across the country have been arrested. It would seem to me now it's at least 200 from what we've seen here, Aaron.
Nick Robertson.
Okay, of course, that too was earlier today, and last report I saw, I think, was 1,700. Yes, 1,700 protesters had been arrested across. That sounds like a lot of protesters, but there's millions and millions of people in Russia. But those that were out there, indeed brave, and put themselves at risk, and depending on how you look at things. Oh, I closed the wrong thing. I closed what I wanted to show next. I apologize. Let me go here. Where was it? Okay, this is what CNN saw earlier. This is shared by Rob Lee. And this is a Typhoon K MRAP. I mentioned protests, and a lot of police departments in the United States currently have these MRAPs. Rob Lee's got a few photos on here that I'm trying to find. There's one. Helicopters, Russian helicopters, again, the MRAP. There we go. That's the one I wanted to show. A missile transport with medium range air defense systems. The reason for bringing that up at this time is because I want to show this. There have been explosions over Kiev. People are speculating as to what it might be. And there is some potential video of what it might be. Hope this loops. It looks like from this video, that something was intercepted over the city. Again, there have been at least 3 reported explosions. If this was indeed an intercept, that would count for a minimum 1 of the explosions. And then there's also reports of missiles landing in Kiev. So it's really early. It's going to be some time before You know, this is how war works. You see things, you hear things, and eventually the truth comes out, and the truth is radically modified depending on which side you're on and who's telling the truth. So this is supposedly video of an explosion you can see up here in the background. And to me, that looks like a massive explosion, just a massive explosion. If you put in perspective the size of the buildings along the skyline here. So we don't know at the moment if there was a missile shot down, if there was a plane shot down, or if missiles have indeed landed. But putting kind of trying to connect the dots, the video we just showed seems to have shown some sort of intercept, and then the video here seems to show a massive fireball from whatever, if that was the intercept or if that was another missile or a missile hitting its target. We showed several missiles last night. That actually, I saw the same footage on CNN earlier this evening. Okay, this gives you an idea that we don't have, we don't have a bias upon where the information comes from. Fox News, Marco Rubio. He says these people on TV who keep saying this all could have been avoided if only we would have agreed to never allow Ukraine to join NATO. Either don't know what they are talking about or are lying. Let's listen to just Marco Rubio here for just a second, and then I'm going to scroll down and show you why.
That's Lithuania. It's all the Baltic states. Right there, he's telegraphing to you what his intent is, and that is not necessarily maybe to govern those countries, but he wants them to look something like Belarus, that has a government in place that responds to him under his sphere of influence. And I think we need to make clear, and I think some of these troop deployments are making clear, that that's not going to happen. But first, it's become popular for people to go around saying, I've seen this now a couple times lately, oh, we only would have agreed to not let Ukraine join NATO, which they weren't going to join NATO. This would all have been avoided. That's just fundamentally untrue. That's just false. That Putin laid out his conditions, and one of those conditions, Sean, in addition to NATO and not ever, Ukraine never becoming part of NATO, one of those conditions was he wanted every country that joined since 1997 out of NATO. In essence, he wanted all troops out of any country after 1997. That's Romania, that's Lithuania, it's all the Baltic states. Right there, he's telegraphing to you what his intent is, and that is not necessarily maybe to govern those countries, but he wants them to look something like Belarus, that has a government in place that responds to him under his sphere of influence. And I think we need to make clear, and I think some of these troop deployments are making clear, that that's not going to happen. But first, it's become popular.
Okay, so I wanted to show that from Marco Rubio to show you this. Well, let me see it. I didn't know. Here it is. We have only seen the opening phase of Putin's barbaric plan. I can't believe he tweeted this. I can't believe we found this on Twitter. We have only seen the opening phase of Putin's barbaric plan, but it has been more difficult than he expected. Keep in mind, Rubio's on the Senate Intelligence Committee. There are now indications Kiev may soon be the focus of his rage, and then the entire world would come face to face with the depravity not seen in 80 years. 80 years takes us back to 1942, and that's when the two bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. Some people have said, well, go back 80 years and maybe he's talking about concentration camps. You have to go back to 1938 for that. So I don't think, I think the reference is there for those that those that see it. And while we are on, while we're here on Twitter, let's just see what new developments are, and we'll check on this for the first time. Kiev air defense is beating the best expectations now. That comes from Steve Lookner and OSINT Defender. Day 2 of Russian invasion. Ukraine still appears to have capable air defenses. Here's PM breaking news with much better video than we've seen before. Okay, let me see if there's sound to this. And I'm going to shut the sound down on the Kiev Live. There we go. I had to find it. I've got a lot of tabs open. My fault. My bad. Didn't mean to disrupt the flow of this show, but okay, it does. I'm not sure. It's okay. Scared the cat away. Cat did not like the, he was up here beside me and he did not like that sound. Breaking video shows interception. Okay. Shows the interception. I can't really tell if it's a plane or if it was a missile. Okay. Here's another view. This is from OSINT Defender. OS stands for open source, and INT stands for intelligence, open source. And this is a minute and 42. So I haven't seen this. Let's take a look. Hold on a second. We're starting at, let's start back here at the beginning. So we get full context here, if I can. Yeah. Again, I apologize. I've got a lot of tabs open. I'm just going to start shutting some of them down that we've already covered.
Опять летит? Не, эта машина едет, не летит. А вот сейчас, да, летит уже, слышите, да? Назад летит. Слышите, да?
That's an airplane, I believe.
Полетел на Борисполь. Видели, да? Громко, да.
I think it's just showing him flying over. I don't think it's showing an interception.
Он не на Борисполь полетел. Ну, надо что-то же говорить. Боже, вот это взрыв только что был. Смотрите, смотрите, ребята, боже. Смотрите, атакуют. Видите, да? Смотрите, ребята, взрывы. Господи, начали атаковать Киев. Вот.
Okay, we've got this. The video we saw right before this, I'm guessing, was taken somewhere over in this area, much closer to the actual debris falling down, and I think we just heard a plane. Let's watch the rest of this, and then I want to rerun just a segment of it.
Начали бомбить. Боже, поздняки начали бомбить. Зайди. Это все-таки был не украинский самолет, это был российский. Ребята, видели, да? Господи. Вот это взрыв был. Вы видели, как ударило? Фу, поздняки, осокорки. Где-то сбили самолет. Сбили. Это, наверное, системы ПВО сбили его. Упал над жилыми домами только что.
Okay, let's I'm going to restart this, but I'm going to go up here. About here, I believe is where it came across.
Ну, на Борисполь. Я сказал на Борисполь, он не на Борисполь полетел. Ну, надо что-то же говорить. Боже, вот это взрыв только что был. Смотрите, смотрите, ребята.
All right, that's where it exploded. That's what I wanted to hear.
Назад летит. Слышите, да? Полетел на Борисполь. Видели, да? Громко, да.
Let me know in the chat if you think that sounds like a plane or if you think that's a missile.
Он не на Борисполь полетел. Ну, надо что-то же говорить. Боже, вот это взрыв только что был. Смотрите, смотрите, ребята.
And then is this explosion an
Смотрите,
interception
видите, да?
or?
Смотрите, ребята, взрывы. Господи, начали атаковать Киев. Вот, начали бомбить. Боже, поздняки начали бомбить. Зайди. Это все-таки был не украинский самолет, это был российский.
Okay. Before I hop over into the chat, I'm going to run down here a little bit farther and see if anything else in here. NATO calls an urgent meeting about the situation in Ukraine, 4 p.m. Kiev time. This is an hour ago. Russians are bombarding the capital, reported a Russian aircraft, possibly a drone, shot down over a residential area. So I think this is our third view of the same incident. Do we have sound? 19 seconds long. Several different kinds of sirens and a small bang, relatively small bang. I don't think that was the massive. I don't know. This seems to be much closer, and maybe that's why the we see the center of the explosion, and we don't see the outreach of it as we do from a distance from the other angle. I'm thinking that's a plane or a drone, personally, and that's based on sound and on visuals. I think it was flying too slow based upon sound to be a missile. Okay, this is an hour ago. I think this is probably the same thing we've seen. It's just being retreated. Okay, this is one we've seen. All right, I'm going to hop back over here and drop in here for a minute. Stop sharing. Browser's lost connection to your screen share audio. Have you folks not been hearing me? I hope you're hearing me. New comments. It's probably okay. You've been hearing me. All right, cool. Missile, but still hard to tell from Sissy. Dr. Ree, hello, Dr. Ree. Hard to tell. Oh, so real. Welcome. T-Rex, you're right. A protest in an anti-war protest in Russia is a massive curveball. And if 1,700 people got arrested, that means there were probably 3 times as many as that didn't get arrested. So that will be something to watch as we get towards the weekend, if we make it that far. So been going about 30 minutes. Thank you all for watching. It's the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. We'll get back to Twitter in a minute. Let's check in with the cameras in Kyiv and see if there's anything brewing at the moment. Sumy, which is up, SUMY, which is up here on the left top corner. A lot of action in Sumy today. Reports of cities in Ukraine being encircled and cut off in the Sumy state. Here's Kiev, not quite daylight there yet. And this is Kharkiv. And this is another shot of another angle of Kyiv. Big cities, okay? You know, we don't have a perspective of how big the cities are because we don't, we don't think about it a lot. Just before sunrise in downtown Kyiv. So it seems all quiet at the moment. So for those of you that are watching, let me pop over here once more. And for those of you that are watching, thank you as always. I greatly appreciate you watching. There's a few of us in here. More people watch it on the replay than watch it live. And so I do kind of keep them, I do try to kind of keep them at a level where people are going to rewatch. And there's something I want to share for those that are here at the moment. The idea of mutually assured destruction. the idea of MAD, M-A-D, mutually assured destruction. That has always been the deterrent, that if one nuke is fired by one side, the other side will fire their nuke. If all the nukes on one side are fired, the other side will fire all of their nukes. Mutually assured destruction. It is thought to be the greatest deterrent against anyone using a nuclear weapon. I've said that I don't think Putin is insane. I don't think he's gone crazy. I think he's getting old and he wants to accomplish his legacy. I've said this a few times on here, so that's nothing new. But if I'm wrong and he is crazy, our government, I hope, is going to look at it that way, as a possibility, instead of just going, oh, nobody in their right mind would do that. Because I think that's probably how we're thinking. Nukes have got to be off the table because nobody in their right mind would do that. Well, up until yesterday, 98% of Ukrainians were saying there's not going to be any kind of invasion or attack because nobody in their right mind would do that. And with all of that lead up being said, I found this video because anytime nations potentially can have conflict and nuclear weapons are involved, there's always the possibility of a slip up. There's always the possibility of a mistake. And I mentioned a lot in the episode earlier about not only nuclear weapons, but nuclear power plants. And of course, Chernobyl is in Ukraine, right up by Belarus, and a rocket hit a radiation storage area within Chernobyl area, the restricted area of Chernobyl. So there have been radiation strikes there. So we already know that accidents can happen. And while it is inconceivable and unthinkable, maybe it really isn't. Maybe it really isn't as unbelievable and unthinkable as we would like to believe. And I found this video that I want to share. It's 14 minutes long. I'm not going to share the whole thing, but the beginning of the video just brought me to a stop. Here we go.
The date is March 4th, 2022, and after years of deliberation, both Georgia and Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Okay, let me run that back. This was done in 2019. Okay, listen again to the start.
The date is March 4th, 2022, and after years of deliberation, both Georgia and Bosnia and Herzegovina have officially been accepted as full NATO partners. Ukraine now reinvigorates its push for NATO membership, while Russia has for the last 6 months warned of military action, alarmed by what it views as encroachment of NATO on its borders. Russia at last responds to the ascension of Bosnia and Herzegovina and Georgia by massing forces on its western border. Russia is gambling that the other NATO nations will reconsider admitting the two new.
Okay, before Georgia could even conceive of this, Russia invaded them and took them over.
Members, or at least not be willing to go to war over the defense of brand new members to the alliance. Russia, however, has completely underestimated the solidarity of the alliance, realizing that NATO is in essence a worthless entity unless Article 5 of the treaty is immediately enforced. NATO warns Russia that an attack on one ally is considered an attack on all allies. To reinforce the point, NATO troops are sent into Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, the alliance's most vulnerable members given their direct proximity to Russia.
If any of this sounds familiar, it's because it's what's happening now.
Russia, however, sees this as an unacceptable show of force, and the move proves to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Without warning, Russian armor pours into Latvia and Lithuania, linking up with forces in Kaliningrad. World War III has officially begun. For the first month of fighting, Russian
Okay. I'm going to pause it there.
forces push as far west as Poland, but the offensive grinds to a halt.
I want to come back to you here. I want to jump over. I want to jump over into the chat. I'm going to play the rest of this, of course, but it's almost as if people knew what was going to happen, and they almost had the date right. They only missed the date by about 10 days. So the thing that I heard today, and I didn't hear it, I heard it from a very reputable source. The pipeline, Ukrainian pipeline, will continue to supply Russian gas to the United States. Okay, the United States is going to continue to get gas. They get about 100,000 barrels a day through a pipeline in Ukraine from Russia. So while we might hang on the precipice of, is this World War III? Is this a nuclear conflict? Keep in mind the fact that it's all about money. And the oil and the gas are still flowing through that pipeline in Ukraine from Russia to the United States. Just something to think about. Just something to think about. Let's go back to our story.
As NATO members finish mobilizing and their resistance solidifies, with American troops and equipment making landfall in France and Germany, NATO is now launching vicious counterattacks against Russia's forces in Poland. In the Pacific, the American Navy steams towards Russia's eastern coast, bringing with it a Marine Expeditionary Force meant to open a second front in the war and split Russia's forces. Russia is faced with a losing proposition and decides to gamble. It authorizes a single nuclear strike against Berlin.
Okay. Pausing it just for a second, because we've talked about the two-pronged front. It's not necessarily something the United States military forces want. When they say the United States Navy is going to steam towards Russia, China will have something to say about that. Okay. So just again, I just watched the first couple of minutes of the first couple of seconds of this and said, okay, we're going to watch this on the episode tonight. I'll watch it together and get everybody's reactions. So here we go.
Adding that while European NATO members may retaliate with their limited nuclear arsenals, the Americans won't risk the destruction of their cities to support their European allies. The date is now April 12th, 0205 hours Zulu. American and Chinese infrared recon satellites both pick up the telltale fiery plume of an ICBM launch from a missile farm in the south of Russia. 2 minutes later, the American president is awoken from his sleep and given the news. Russia has launched a single nuclear device, unknown payload, likely target in Western Europe. The U.S. Air Force's Global Strike Command has for weeks been flying nuclear alert missions with its fleet of B-52 bombers, maintaining a nuclear-armed force in the air 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, as its predecessor.
Keep in mind, all of this is happening. I'm going to get rid of the commercial here. Bear with me, please. And we'll get right back here to this.
Cold War. With the detected launch of a Russian nuclear weapon, a priority flash is immediately dispatched to the airborne forces and alert forces on the ground. Flight crews stationed overseas in Japan, on the west coast of the United States, and in Europe all review their single integrated operational plan, which lays out the exact flight route, refueling track, and targets for each of the bomber crews. Most aircraft have 2 primary targets, with 2 alternate targets to be struck should they be unable to make it to their primary targets. Within minutes, the crews are in the air, and those already on alert patrols immediately set their course for the positive control turnaround point, a pre-planned point near Russia where the air crews will automatically turn around unless they receive an order to strike. At missile sites across the American Midwest, the giant concrete shutters that protect the buried missiles inside their launch facilities are automatically rolled back, and the security forces personnel tasked with defending those sites go on full alert. Their orders are to defend the silos until every missile has been launched, after which they are to escort surviving missile crews out and back to a rendezvous point well away from the missile farm, for these sites will be a priority target for incoming Russian missiles. Inside underground bunkers, missile operators rehearse launch procedures, each man responsible for a group of missiles. The entire system only requires 2 out of 4 of the operators to authenticate a launch order, just in case 2 of the men get cold feet about launching a nuclear Armageddon.
Okay. I don't know if you caught that or not. Only 2 out of the 4 are required to actually launch, just in case the other 2 get cold feet about launching nuclear Armageddon.
Refuse their orders.
And I guess it's comforting that it's in almost cartoon form. And I think that's on purpose so that we can get through it without crashing and burning mentally and emotionally over what it really could mean.
Deep in the Arctic, Pacific, and Atlantic Ocean, the U.S.'s extremely low-frequency communication system flashes a nuclear alert to America's ballistic missile submarine fleet. Each sub carries 24 Trident missiles, and each missile carries up to 8 independently targetable warheads with a yield of 475 kilotons. America's fleet of hunter-killer attack submarines have for weeks been stalking and eliminating Russia's aging ballistic missile submarines, and the survivors are bottled up near the Russian shore, where they can be protected with shore-based firepower and anti-submarine patrols. Now, America...
I'm going to jump ahead a little bit again. This is 15 minutes long. Let's see what we have.
On conventional firepower advantage, the United States has not kept an active inventory of tactical devices.
When you start a mighty network,
all right. Okay, you get the idea. I'm just going to stop there. That is... let me give proper credit and direct you where you can find that. This is under the YouTube. What if, hold on a second. What if there was a nuclear war between the U.S. and Russia? For those that want to go ahead, go back and watch that. You can feel free to do so. Again, hello to everybody out there watching. Thank you for watching. It's the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. I do appreciate everyone watching. So much video coming in, horrific videos coming in. And instead of showing you things that everybody else is showing you, we're going to try to play a little chess and see what might be coming. I don't want to think about the idea of a nuclear war, so we're going to move away from that in just a moment. But I played the little cartoon thing because I wanted to also play this rather serious portion of a video. just to give you a 90-second reminder of why we really don't want anything to do with a nuclear war, and the fact that I heard Marco Rubio mention not seeing the atrocities for the past 80 years, and hearing that Putin and Macron, Putin the leader of Russia, Macron the leader of France, had a major long phone conversation that didn't go very well. And Putin says, no one's going to stop me. Macron says, oh, we can stop you. And Putin says, nobody's going to stop me. They're afraid of my nuclear weapons. And Macron says, NATO has nuclear weapons too. So that it's troubling. It's troubling, to say the least. But that's what the that's what the promo of the episode was about: mutually assured destruction. And so we're going to end it up sharing a couple of more things here. Then I'll go to the chat to see if there's anything in the chat. And again, thank you all for watching. In case of an attack in the United States, we showed this map earlier in the last episode, the preppingguide.com, which shows potential fallout areas and where you really would want to locate if an all-out nuclear event happened, if you're going to try to survive. This map shows the largest 500 cities in the United States by population. So I don't think I can get it in. I don't think I can enlarge it. Can I? Can I enlarge this? No, I can't. I can't go back. Okay. All right. So the map right here shows your 500 largest cities. This is based on 2010 population. The 2020 census was done, of course, 2 years ago. So this map from the CDC, probably, I don't know if the CDC's had a lot going on, so they may not have had time to update based on population. But this gives you a general idea of the San Francisco area, Los Angeles area, the East Coast from Boston down to New York City, down to Philly, and down to Baltimore and to Washington, D.C., the Florida coast, Chicago, Dallas, Fort Worth metro area, Arlington in there, Houston down here. And you would guess that those would be potential targets if you're trying to destroy both population and infrastructure. Now, if you're talking about where are the first targets, we need to look at this map. If there were a strike, you'd be looking at up here in the state of Washington at the naval radio station, Jim Creek, the naval base at Cashapp, the Strategic Missile Integration Complex, the Maelstrom Air Force Base, Minot Air Force Base, Warren Air Force, NORAD, Kirkland, Barksdale, Kings Bay, Whitman, and Offutt, the Pentagon, of course, Command and Control, and VLF transmitter up here in Cutler, Maine. So those would probably be the first targets hit. So if you're in those areas, you may not even be aware that there are underground missiles in your area, which which you might want to be aware of. So I just wanted to kind of finish up everything, because I'm not going to be talking nuclear every night. I don't want to be talking nuclear at all, to be honest with you, unless it's about how some nuclear power plant is safe and can provide energy forever and ever. I've got a whole bunch. Okay, 5 minutes ago, I'm going to run down through my Twitter one more time before I jump back into chat here at the end. Let's run down through Twitter and we will check, make sure. This again is from OSINT Defender. OS is open source, and INT is intelligence. Kiev's mayor now says 3 people died after an apartment building was hit by a falling missile or an aircraft debris and caught the apartment on fire. Oh, good Lord. That's from OSINT. 5 minutes ago, more explosions over Kiev in the last few minutes. Ukraine's defense ministry, Russia has sustained an estimated 800 fatalities in combat. A lot of back and forth on this. Fact is, the people in Kiev and Russia and Ukrainian troops have been going full speed for 24 hours with no slack. If we ever get the facts about this war, it won't be today. That's what I was saying earlier. You know, we won't actually know probably what happened. And when we find out, it will be based upon who's telling us and what they want us to know. And that's why we try to show as much as we can on here to give you things to think about, so it's not just a one-sided slant from whatever particular mainstream media it may be. U.S. Senator Rubio says at least 3 dozen missiles have been fired at Kiev in the last 40 minutes. Okay, so let me go back over here to my Twitter home and see if anybody is okay. Destroyed Russian TOR M2 SAM system. Surface to air missile is SAM. Missile homing devices. Police warn Ukrainians to destroy. This is 3 minutes ago. Police warn Russians to destroy missile homing devices for Russian missiles. There was a report earlier that there was Russian special forces saboteurs, and it appears that perhaps they were planting these along the streets in certain areas. So again, we give you things you're not going to see on other sites or on other any okay, breaking. Russian tanks are moving towards Kiev, but a battle has broken out near Ivankiv. Ukrainian forces blew up the bridge to stop the Russian column. That was 9 minutes ago. 160 missiles launched to hit Kiev, the Washington Post, with reference to the Pentagon from 16 minutes ago. Ukrainian military cannot prevent the Russian military from pushing farther into Ukraine. That was 3 hours ago. Defense Ministry says a plane crashed near Ukraine, killing the crew. Russian Defense Ministry. The Kyiv Independent says enemy losses also include 7 planes, 6 helicopters, 130 armored fighting vehicles, and over 30 tanks. This is what I did earlier. Arnold Schwarzenegger. My thoughts are with Ukrainian people. Been asked to do several interviews, but I believe the news should continue to focus on what's happening on the ground. Sorry, I got a little Arnold in there on that last word. Russians are encountering considerable more resistance than they appear to have expected. This was 3 hours ago. 7 hours ago, Russia has assembled troops, armor, artillery, and more than 50 heavy equipment transporters at a training area near the Polish border. Russia has also added more equipment at a nearby rail yard in Belarus. Neither one of which are good news. I'm going to go back up here one more time and okay. Pardon the advertisements. Russian tanks are moving from the Chernobyl zone to Kiev on this side. They're moving on this side as well as coming up from the south and across from the east. So I said before any of this started, I said, it's not going to be just over in the Donbro state where the 2 breakaway republics supposedly were, that they were going to encircle Kiev and hold Kiev. You can go back and watch the episodes. I'm not patting myself on the back because I hate being right, especially when it means people could be killed. Russian tank, this is 5 minutes ago from Livua Map. Russian tank columns approaching Kyiv from the north and the west, as I just said a second ago. Violent clashes now near Ivankiv Bridge blown up to prevent further advance. So it's going to be a very active night. 6 minutes ago, okay, Ukrainian President Zelensky vowed to stay in Kyiv as his troops battled Russian invaders advancing toward the capital in the biggest attack on a European state since World War II. And that's not hyperbole. That's wow. Okay. Pardon my. This is my personal Twitter page. It's not Doofus Twitter. It's my personal page. So I've got a lot of things on here other than 2 hours ago. Okay. So I've got a lot of things on there other than just Ukraine, Russia information. We'll check we're coming up on an hour. Actually, I'm just past an hour. Let's check the cameras and Sumi appears quiet. Kyiv. I don't know. Is this playing? Has this been frozen? 6:03 local time. So, yeah, that would be right, I guess. Actually, no, that's going to be like, it's 11:36. So it's like 30 minutes off. Okay. So let me check what the other camera's about here and see if it's any more accurate. I think it is. Yes, it's much closer to daylight, which is what I was expecting in, apologies, which is what I was expecting in Kyiv. All right. So again, that's where we're at the moment. A lot of activity in Ukraine. 3 minutes ago, new explosions heard in Kyiv. Long into the night, Lazinski goes on TV and says he's staying in Kiev and he's got like a sweatshirt on. It looks like the guy probably hasn't slept in days. Okay, that's one of my friends. I'm not gonna. 2 minutes ago, Ukrainian sources claim Russian armored forces are making a push for Kiev this morning. Okay, so that's what we've already reported on. Okay, I need to show you this just so that you just so you see it. President Joe Biden said any country that backed Russia's onslaught in Ukraine would be stained by association after China rejected calling Moscow's move on invasion. After rejecting calling Moscow's move an invasion and instead urged all sides to exercise restraint. Actually, what China said was it was a justified action for legitimate security concerns, and there is some merit in reclaiming historically lost territories, which, of course, takes us to Taiwan. And what happens next? What happens next? China moves on Taiwan. And our little cartoon video about, what could happen. That little cartoon video starts lining up even more current events. So I've been kind of trying to play chess and look ahead as to what's coming. What's coming? Another bad day for Ukraine tomorrow. If you take into consideration everything we've shown tonight and everything we've talked about, Russia hasn't rolled. They haven't steamrolled as many people, including myself, thought they would. But yet they are advancing on Kyiv. Now, if they, it all depends how things play out through this coming morning. I've got to sleep here, and I've been up for a long time. I was up till about 5 a.m. after doing the show last night, and I had to get up really early and go in and have going to the doctor, and I learned while I was in there that all the cancer was cut out, and now it's just a matter of getting the wound healed without infection, and everything will be good. So that was a positive, but I'm wore out. So I'm going to sleep for a few hours. Not yet, but when I end this, and we will see how things stand in the morning. My personal opinion is if Putin isn't satisfied with the progress, things will get really intense in the next 6 to 8 hours. Would he be so ignorant, a madman, and drop a nuclear bomb? Well, we saw a cartoon a little bit earlier in that just, he thought, if you just drop one, and as an analyst and trying to look at it from all sides, if he does just drop one, if he drops a bomb, if he drops an atomic bomb, a nuclear missile fired into Kyiv, it ends that war immediately, and it puts everybody else in a position of, okay, do we really want to screw with this guy, or should we just let him have what he wants and try to go about our merry way? Now, it's a scary thing to think about, but don't think it's not been in Putin's head. Don't think it's not in his head right now, and don't be surprised if he's already decided it's going to happen. Unthinkable, but 2 nights ago when I got on here and said they're going to invade and it's going to be a full-scale invasion, it was unthinkable. I hope I'm really wrong. I really hope I'm wrong about this one. The other thing we need to look out for, China will be making a move on Taiwan. Everything's all set up. Whether it was planned in advance, whether Russia and China have an agreement, history will tell. But it's all set up for China to take Taiwan. And remember, the whole time all this is going on, the Ukrainian pipeline is distributing Russian gasoline to America. Now, maybe we can all figure out what it's really truly all about, dollar signs. Okay, love y'all. Thank you all for watching. I'm going to hop in the chat here real quick. Anybody have any questions, concerns, anything you want to talk about? We've got a few minutes here. We've been on for an hour and 13 minutes. I'll stop it at an hour and a half if I don't stop before. Again, the opinions here are just based on experience, studies, and I know what I wanted to talk about that I haven't mentioned. BRICS, BRICS. I haven't mentioned that. Brazil, B for Brazil, R for Russia, I for India, C for China, and S for South Africa, BRICS. And a lot of people are looking at, if it does escalate, and if sides are drawn, if lines are crossed, how does the world line up geopolitically? BRICS, NATO. BRICS, NATO. Brazil, China. My camera's too close. I'm not in my normal studio. Brazil, China, India. Who am I forgetting? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South America or South Africa, and lined up against the NATO, the 30-some NATO forces, many of whom NATO countries, many of whom do not have anywhere near what you would call a military force. The other way to look at how things could possibly line up and shake out, if you don't like the BRICS and NATO example, is democracies and dictatorships. Because if you look at If you look at the BRICS, Brazil, while they have elections, it's run by warlords. Russia, we know about Russia. India has yet to be very public or to make statements. All countries have problems of their own, but India is being very close to the vest on this. Is when I heard about this BRICS, and China will line up with Russia. I'm relatively certain of that, unless Putin does something and fires a nuke into China. And if he's insane, he might do that. And then South Africa will be in debt, is incredibly in debt to Russia and China. So they would be part of that out of debt, if not out of attitude and philosophy. So we also have to throw out North Korea and Iran and Pakistan. And so, this is all out with the old and in with the new. I think this is mostly, let's make sure that it's the old stay entrenched and it never changes. And I think that's the plan for the United States. They want to make sure the greatest democracy in the world falls so that they can use that as an example to say democracy doesn't work, never worked, blah, 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 blah. So this conflict has far-reaching and long-lasting ramifications. As well, it's going to hurt us at the gas pump. But it's the pain of us paying a little more at the gas pump is not even close to the devastation of those who are going to lose their lives in a conflict that should have never happened. And really hope it doesn't escalate. So Joe Biden stopped the Keystone Pipeline and reopened the pipeline with Russia. Actually, if you look closely at that, the oil companies were the one that stopped running oil through Keystone. But there's no doubt, the pipeline is open with Russia, and it's still open, even though we're, Putin himself hasn't been sanctioned. Those around him have. Putin's money hadn't been cut off. Putin hadn't been touched. And that plays into the we can nuke Kyiv and America's not going to do anything about it. And we'll end this really quick and move on to Poland and Romania, and everybody else are just going to roll over because nobody's going to do anything about it. Nobody's going to do anything about it. And that's very scary because I don't want anybody to do anything about it. And I don't want it to happen. I'm not in that seat. I ended it this way last night. Joe Biden's in a place where he's going to have to do either what's best for the world or what's best for our country, because they're two different things. So thank you all for watching. I love y'all. Hey, Puffin, good to see you in here. Komet, Disciplinary Sage, anybody I might have missed, I apologize. I'm going to lay it down for a bit. I'll have something on monitoring while I try to rest, and if something breaks of a huge nature, I will try to hop back on here and have a platform to talk honestly and openly about it. Australian uranium has already been taking. China and Russia's ready. Putin is nuclear power in a good way, not need oil. Wrong. He signed. Sorry, I'm late. I missed it. It's okay, English. It's going to be over here in just a couple of seconds here and you can run back and watch it from the beginning. And I'm just going to take a rest for a little bit. We'll do the normal afternoon update that we do tomorrow or every afternoon, and depending upon who's speaking and when. So hit the notification button or hit the bell to be notified when the show's going to be open. Or when I told you I need sleep. Hit the bell so you know when the show's going to be on. Subscribe so that you know when the show's going to be on. Hit the like button, hit the share button. If you subscribe and somewhere down the road you don't like something, you can always unsubscribe, you know. In all sincerity, I do appreciate everybody that watches this. I really honestly do. I love that. I love that you're looking for something other than what everybody else is saying, because that's what we try to do here on the American Doofus Show. Just a brief recap of where it's at now. Explosions over Kyiv. Not sure how many or damage. We just send our thoughts and our prayers. As tacky as that sounds, is really one of the most powerful things we can do is pray if you're a praying person. And send positive thoughts if you're not a praying person, because a lot of people lost their lives in Ukraine today, and a lot of Russian soldiers lost their lives today as well. So, and I imagine a lot of them didn't want to be there doing what they were doing, but nonetheless. Here we are. I love y'all. Thank you so much for watching. I will be on tomorrow afternoon, some point. Again, please subscribe. And once you're subscribed, hit the notification bell so you know when we're on. It's this has been the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. It's a dark world. Do be a light. I wish namaste, peace, shalom, salam, and blessings upon each and every one of you. I love you all. It's the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. Thank you for watching.